in the 55 active adult community, 55 and over, called the Komarinetz. And boy, Johnny, that location out there, awesome.
Yeah.
Very affordable. This two-bedroom, two-bath's been nicely updated. We're asking $260,000. Johnny's told me that he can't count the amount of hours he sat on the screen back porch of this condo, looking out. It isn't even a football field. I don't think it's a football field from the Indian River and the bay out there. And it's gorgeous. And he said he's seen all these storms roll in and all the changes of weather on that porch. But now it's time for the family to sell it. So we got it out there. We've had a decent amount of showings on the property already. So if you're thinking of this, give us a call. We're marketing this, and this is one of the things that we've been doing for our customers lately, is a lot of our properties we're marketing to the Northeast through various different types of, not just social media like Craigslist. I'm sorry, not like Facebook and YouTube videos. We do that, but we also do other types of advertising that directs to certain areas of the Northeast that we know that they like buying houses down here. We put an ad out yesterday, Johnny, and we got a nibble on it. I'm going to be calling them today. So the person's up in New York and is interested in the property. And the reason why they would be interested in this property is because of the location, and that this is a unique corner unit in this building. There are very few corner units for sold throughout the community. So this is one of the larger units. And also just the active adult lifestyle activities you have on there. There's all these community groups that you would expect in a 55 and active 55 and over community. They have their own private docks in this community. They have fishing docks and sitting docks, so you could just go out there with your pole and just start fishing right away. It's awesome.
I have enjoyed many hours of not fishing, catching on those docks over the years. And just I don't know, 6 months ago or so, I brought my daughter out there, and she caught 11 different fish, 7 different species in like an hour. And when it kind of cooled off for a second, she was like, "This sucks. I'm done." And we were catching like a fish every 10 minutes at that point. But for the first hour, Dad couldn't even get a line out because I got one, and I'd get the fish off and put it back out for her. I got one. 7 different species, 11 different fish in an hour. I was so blown away. I hadn't seen fish in action like that on those docks for 15 years.
That's so awesome. That's awesome. And you know what I also love about that, Johnny? It just feels like it really feels like you're in Florida, right? It's like what you envision in Florida, what you think of, and it's so affordable. $260,000. I don't know what the condo association fee is, but I think it's well under $300 a month, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember, so don't hold me to that. I can get you the information, but the HOA is very affordable. You have all these activities, and you could walk or bike ride if you want to these great restaurants all surrounding there. There's so many great seafood restaurants and everything. You really feel like you're in Florida, and it's on a budget, so you don't have to be a multi-millionaire to afford this type of lifestyle. You could do it very affordably. So give us a call if you're interested. Just wanted to say hello to a couple people. Castle Rider, Jocelyn, Robin Marks, who we might be doing a deal with very soon, Drew Embry, Elizabeth Lang, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy Boxing Day, happy everything. Thanks for coming in. There's some of the guys are saying great show, and Jocelyn Barron is on our Facebook page, and she's actually watching us from Winnipeg right now. So it's cold up there and it's warm down here, so give us a call if you're
so she appreciates the Boxing Day.
Yeah. Actually, that's very true. Happy Boxing Day. Yeah. So thanks so much for checking in, and let everybody know about us. We are the #1 information provider about all things real estate in Florida. Florida Talk Real Estate.
Can I tell you one little cool thing about my mom's colonnades there?
Please.
The pool they have there. So when I was growing up, they actually had a diving board. I've seen old pictures where they had like a mid-size high dive and then a smaller diving board. So they only had the smaller one when I was a kid. Doesn't exist anymore. But that pool, it's probably one of my favorite pools I've ever been in. The Navy SEALs. So you have the Navy SEAL Museum there on Fort Pierce on Hutchinson Island. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, Jimmy.
Yes.
But the Navy SEALs used to train in that pool. So there's a really historic tie to that pool in that area. And I don't know, it really is one of the coolest pools I've ever been in my life, because it's like a not quite Olympic size, but it's a lap pool. So it's got a nice shallow end, but then it gets a really deep end, because remember, it had a mid-size
diving.
Yeah, I love that pool. That's probably between the river access and the pool. Those are the things I'm going to miss most about that condo. And I do believe they have, and it's whenever it's available, but there are slips available if you're a boat owner in those condos, but there's only limited.
Yes, there's limited slips, but check this out, Johnny. I was checking the prices. If you get in the waiting line for those slips,
cheap.
$60 to $130 a month for the slips.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really a great opportunity there. Give us a call. Just wanted to say hello to Susan. She's one of our favorite past. Okay, Mike, I'm sorry, but just want to say hello to Susan, one of her favorite past customers. Just talked to her earlier this week. You know what's so cool about Susan? She was looking for a house. Natalie Medina Rao, one of our team members, helped Susan go find her home. Because of her price range and things like that, we thought she was going to end up having to get a townhouse because of her budget, but she really wanted a place for her, a yard for her dog. So she sent us a picture recently of her dog sitting in her fenced backyard under this shade tree, just chilling out in the backyard like it's her kingdom. So congratulations, Susan. She loves her house. She's so happy. She's been there about 6 months. She's absolutely in love with what happened. She's having Impact Windows put it in very soon, doing renovations. Awesome.
Sounds like Susan loves it too.
And Robin Marks is here right now. Robin, thank you so much for checking in again. We met Robin last week with her husband, Bruce, and we're probably going to be selling one of their properties very, very soon. And we'll talk to you more about that as we get closer. But Robin and Brian are probably the fourth family I've met in the last month that have either estate, probate, trust, or transitional life issues with their parents and trying to deal with real estate. And we specialize in that. So if you have any of those kind of things, we'll be talking about that more and more as we go on. Also, just want to say hello to Tom Giovanni. Tom and I talked yesterday with his parents. What a great couple. And they're in North Carolina right now. We're going to try to help them get a rental back in the hometown where they live down in Broward County. We're going to try to do that. Thanks for checking in, Mike. Thanks for checking in, Tom. Mike, you were going to say something when we broke off. I apologize.
I was, you mentioned something, made me think of, on the seller side, when you're selling, is there any way to negotiate that the current owners give you passes to the pool and to the river access? So Johnny can maybe negotiate being able to go back to that pool. That's something you can put in your contract.
Maybe we can make a new word for it, because if you try to do that with the house, it's called a post-occupancy closing. But maybe you can call it a post-occupancy
access.
I don't know.
All access.
Condo amenities or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you perpetually on the guest list. How about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds
Okay, so let's just go through the shout outs because I want to make sure we try to stay on time today. Everything was a little crazy in the morning. Things are calmed down a little bit. So congratulations to Joyce. Congratulations to Wilma. Remember we were talking about that property in Aberdeen and Boynton Beach? Oh, I'm calling you, Mike. Hey, Mike,
Jim's butt dialing me right now.
Yeah, sorry.
I got one of those a couple days ago with like one of those 5-minute messages, you know?
I wonder if Siri did that. So congratulations to Wilma. We put a property in Aberdeen. I don't know if people remember this. This is the one with the membership equity where they have the great golfing community with the restaurants and a million different features in that community. Just awesome. Scott put it on the market. We got it sold in like 3 or 4 days, typical. But then the deal fell apart. So Scott's back in contract, and congratulations. This one looks very solid. So I think even with the deal falling apart, we went back in a contract. From the day we put it on the market, took a deal fell apart, put it back on the market. I think the whole thing was 9 days or 11 days. So it wasn't like a long, big thing. It was like, okay, see you later. We'll go get another buyer. So congratulations, Scott. You did an awesome job for the family so far. Let's get that to close. And then want to give a shout out to Mark and Tina. Mark and Tina have been, this is a very typical story. Mark and Tina have been thinking about, they love their home. They live in Jupiter. They live in a really nice neighborhood, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, killer pool in the backyard that they put in about 5 years ago, like killer backyard, outdoor summer kitchen, resurfaced pool, re-landscaped everything in the backyard. That feels like you're in a Florida vacation too when you walk in the backyard. And the house is in really good condition too. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, about 2,500 square feet under air, 1-car garage. But now they're thinking it might be time, because the prices are so high. They really like to cash out of the house because they did very well when they bought it, and then buy something else that's bigger. But they kept, every time we talked about it, Johnny's talked to them a couple of times, they were like, well, I'd love to sell my house for prices at today's market, but what the heck am I going to buy? And then they tell you, just very typical with buyers, that they've been, clicking and clacking at night, looking at Zillow and Julia and Realtor.com, trying to hunt for properties to see what they could replace their house with. And they just felt two things, and this is very common. Number one, there's nothing out there for me right now. Or number two, I don't know how I'm going to be able to find what I want when I put my house on the market. If I put my house on the market, I know it's going to sell super fast, but then what the heck am I going to do? Then they were thinking, because they could make so much money on their house, that they kind of had it in their head, you know what? Maybe we'll just cash out the house and we're going to rent for a year and then figure out what to do afterwards. So that's a very common assumption. And I do recommend that as having that as a backup plan, to be honest with you. That should be a backup plan in your possibilities if you have to. But you know how we always used to say, Johnny, that when we're trying to deal with problems for a homeowner, we have the waterfall and the safety nets, where we have a safety net under the safety net under the safety net. So we have the backup plans, right?
That's right.
We're going to try it this way. If it doesn't work this way, then we're going to do this. If that doesn't work, then we're going to do that. So we already know in advance how we're going to handle things if it goes the other way. Well, that should be in your toolbox or one of your safety nets there, but that shouldn't be your number one safety net. That's your plan. The plan should be, I'm going to go sell my house, find somebody that's going to give me the time to go into contract with the buyer, that's going to give me the time to go find a house that I really want to buy, not just be forced to buy a house, but to find a house I want to move to. And if that doesn't happen, to have a way for my customer to back out of the contract with the buyer and not be penalized. Okay. And the reason why we're doing this, because, and Mike is going to be doing the loan for Marcantina, is they need the proceeds of the sale of their house to buy the new home. And that's where the big glitch is. This is where I think the big bottleneck of the lack of inventory we have. This is probably, I bet you, 10-15% of the bottleneck of our inventory. Easy 10 or 15%. These people, it's like, I'd love to sell my home, but what the heck am I going to buy afterwards? And it's so expensive. Well, Mike and I have done a couple of videos explaining, understanding interest rates and how interest rates affect your purchase price, and should you wait for the prices to drop, and what would happen if you wait for the prices to drop. One of the effects of price dropping has to be interest rate increases. So we calculated the difference of interest rate versus purchase price, and we showed that in some cases, if, let's say you have, I think the figures were used roughly, let's say you're buying a $350,000 house today at 3%. And let's say your mortgage payment is $1,400 a month, just roughly, okay? But now you say, I don't want to pay $350. I want to wait for the prices to drop because I think the houses are too high, right? So you wait for the house, and now you can buy that same exact house. Time has passed, and you can buy it for $300, right? $50,000 less. But the interest rates went from 3% to 4%. Well, in that case, you're going to be paying about roughly $200 a month more for the $300,000 mortgage than the $350 mortgage. So you're paying less for the house, but you're paying $200 a month more in your mortgage. So you're not saving any money, and you're locked into that mortgage for 15 or 30 years for most people. So you're making that extra $200 a month. Every time you're making that payment, you're paying $200 a month more than if you just bought the house at $350 at 3%. So that's the big concept to understand if you wait. So one of the things that we did with Mark. Oh, go ahead, Mike, because I wanted to transfer. But let's go to that.
Yeah, just real quick on that. I wanted to make a slight correction. So I think the scenario you were describing is if prices hold the same, but the interest rate goes up by 1%, then you're buying the same house and your payment is $200 more. If the house price comes down that margin, but interest rates go up, you end up buying the house for $50,000 cheaper, but you end up with the same mortgage payment as if you bought it.
Oh, it was the same mortgage payment. I'm sorry. I knew there was a $200. I thought there was a $200 difference in one of our math.
The 200 would be if you bought that same house at 350 at 3% versus 4%.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
So if prices hold and interest rates go up, obviously your mortgage payment is going to be higher for the same price point. Mm-hmm. But even if what you're saying, people are waiting for prices to cool off or to come down, if in the meantime, so prices are coming down and it's 10%, right? So 10% of the house price is the same as 1% increase in the mortgage rate. So anyway, if the price decreases 10% and the mortgage rate goes up 1%, you end up with the same payment, even though you bought the house at 10% less. Right. And 10% on 350, Johnny, is $35,000. Right. So that's Jim's scenario of going from 350 to 300. You end up with the same mortgage payment if rates go up. Now, if rates hold, then you made the right decision.
Right. So what happened with Mark and Tina? We met with them once, and I could tell that we all thought the same, and that they could see that we really had their best interest, and we weren't trying to hornswoggle them into doing something that wasn't in their best interest. And I said, just give us a chance. Just give us a chance to show you how our seller buyer system works. And if it doesn't work, you don't have to do it. But let me do my seller buyer system. So he said, okay. They had a really great attitude about it. Their attitude was, we're not getting all our hopes invested in this and going through this emotional roller coaster ride. In fact, they were very, very interested and very aggressive in trying to do things the right way. But they weren't like, if it doesn't work out, we still love our home, right? So what ended up happening was we were going to put the house on the market this Thursday. We're talking about 2 days ago, right? So we got them qualified with Mike, and then Scott went around and started showing Scott Spainhour, who's going to be calling. It was going around. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Scott. We were running around showing properties. Scott got the person into contract before we put the house on the market. So they bought their new home. They went into contract for the new home before we put the house on the market, a day or two early, basically. Okay. And then we put the house on. And so Scott was able to get a price reduction on the house, get them to take a contingency that they needed to sell their home to buy the home, and got them a very long close date so they had time to find their home, because when Scott turned the offer in for Mark and Tina, they didn't know what home they were going to buy. I mean, they didn't know if they were going to be able to sell their home, how fast. So they got all that accomplished. Then we put the house on the market 2 days later. So we put it on the market about 4:30 on Thursday. Right now, before we started the show, I think we have 22 showings scheduled. We already have 2 offers. One of them is above asking price, and they're offering to pay above appraised value if the house doesn't appraise, built into the contract. So we got all that accomplished within about 5 days. By the time Scott got into the car to look for properties for them, and I put the house on the market, it's only been like 6 days, I think. And we got the house under contract that they want to buy. We have to go through the inspection still, but they're under contract. And it looks like their house is sold this weekend. We just don't know which buyer it is.
And this is breaking news, Jim, because you're moving so quick. I didn't even know that they got that offer accepted. I was involved, making sure it worked and sending a pre-approval to match the offer. But I didn't know that it was accepted. So breaking news.
I saw a document come through over like 8 o'clock last night on my phone that said that it looked like it was ratified.
That's awesome.
So this is all looking great. And you know what? We're probably going to be calling that seller, the seller that's going to, not our customer's seller. We're going to be calling that guy and calling that agent probably Tuesday, saying our house is sold. Let's just do a regular close. We'll close everything in 35 days. Is that cool? And everybody's going to be going, yeah.
And listen, Jim, you shouldn't gloss over one important detail there on the buy side, is because I talk to agents all the time, and trying to get a contingent Like you have contingencies in your offer. If one of them is I got to sell my house and I need some time to do that, that's very difficult. And I talked to a lot of agents who are not successful getting those buyers under contract. So
Not
what's
in
the
today's
secret
market.
sauce there? Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
secret sauce? How did Scott pull that off?
I promise we're going to get into that, but I want to wait for both deals to gel up faster. That's why I didn't want to have Scott on the phone talk about, because he doesn't know. I want to hold on that until we get all the deals solidified.
Scott's on the phone knocking on wood right now.
So no, everything looks pretty solid. I mean, everything looks pretty solid, but you never know until you get farther along. And the other thing is that the point I'm trying to make today is that if you're in that Marcantina situation, hey, I'd love to do this, but I think it's impossible. Pick up the phone and give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. We really would. Sit down. Sometimes I remember we met with the family earlier this year, and based on their circumstances, my recommendation, and it was almost same price points and everything as Marcantina we're dealing with. In my opinion at that time, based on their needs, is like, I wouldn't do it if I were you. And they didn't. And you know what? I think that was a really smart situation with them. There was things involving schools. There were certain things going involved besides just the house itself, lifestyle things, that they weren't thinking the big picture. And we sat down and I'm like, well, what are you going to do about getting your daughter to school every day? And then it was like, the commute was going to be extra, extra long now, right? And it was going to be opposite direction of where they were. And there were other issues. So it was like, you know what? Maybe you should just wait a little while. The market's not crashing or anything. You enjoy the house. Just stay here longer until your daughter graduates or things change. So we're not gonna try to pressure you to do anything. We're gonna sit down, talk to you, and figure out what's best for you.
Yeah, that's a good consultation aspect with pros. Start at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Your access to the entire team, like Scott Spainhour or Jimmy D with the Florida Home Pros. You can get over with Ross Komarinetz, Brightway Insurance at Juno Beach. Talk with Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm, just to name a few of our power hitters at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Your access to the entire team. Pros. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You want to say hi to Scott?
No, let's go ahead and take. I know I hate to tell Scott this, but let's go ahead and take the break at 9:30, and then I'll take Scott. Okay, sorry about that, Scott. Quit giving me the finger, Scott.
We see you. We got a 4-minute break. We come back. We'll get some details about Scott Spainhour out and about today with an open house. And again, I just gave you the website, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. That's your one-stop real estate shop. You can find us on Facebook. Thanks so much for tuning in. Florida Talk Real Estate. We go live every Saturday, plus your access to so much information, Florida Talk Real Estate related, on the Facebook page. YouTube as well, Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. That is a hub of a ton of information. Are the videos that you spoke about, Jimmy D, with you and Mike Rauch, with interest rates and price points, are those up on the YouTube page?
There's one up. There's one up right now, but I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not. Now that you mentioned it, I'm not sure if it's listed or unlisted yet because we had to do an edit, so it might not be there. But if you have,
one way to find out. That's go to the YouTube page. You verify for us. Check it out. Like all the videos. Do us a favor. It'd be really, really beautiful if you can like, share, and consume. You never know who you may very much impact by putting them in touch with FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Count them up. 4 minutes from now. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. We're back at it, rolling through. Continuing with a bunch more. 2 hours of infotainment. We're just getting warmed up on a Saturday. Thanks for being with us right here on Real Radio.
We'll be your friend. Follow us at Real Radio 92.1 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
This is Chris Collinsworth. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings.
Players on the injury report as questionable for their game against the Giants, including tight end Adam Sheehy, missed last week with a knee injury. While the Hurricanes' journey in the NCAA volleyball tournament comes to an end, the Gators' trip continues as they head to the third round. And following the Oregon Ducks' loss in the Pac-12 title, reports indicate the Hurricanes are pursuing current Oregon head coach Mario Cristobal. I'm Adam Crowley.
Download the DraftKings app and use code SPORTS to get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
You're listening to Real Radio 92.1, and we are an iHeart radio station. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That is your toll-free number. Use it. If you got a question, comment, concern of the world of real estate, go ahead and pick up your phone. Dial it up, 877-927-6969. Jimothy will answer your call. He'll get you going. And we got the team assembled to handle all your situations and so much more. And look, they'll tell you flat out, ooh, if I don't know the answer, we'll get you that answer. We'll give you a call. The fact is that, look, sometimes they got to do some research to get your answers, but not typically. I'm your boy, Johnny C. Thanks for being with us, whether you're on 92.1, 101.7, worldwide on your iHeartRadio app. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. Nice to see you. And, of course, Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube as well. Good morning, Ross Komarinetz, Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, that's right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Nice to see you as always. Good morning to Mike Rauch. He's the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Good morning, Michael.
Yes, sir. Beautiful South Florida winter morning. How's the beach over there today, Ross?
It is nice. The water looks nice and flat and glassy. It looks real nice.
I got a concert on the beach down in Lauderdale tonight. I'm happy to hear that the water's looking good. That's beautiful.
Real nice.
And it was a gorgeous morning. Did you get out in the water this morning, Ross?
No, but I did run along the road, the ocean road. So got a chance to see it.
Good for you.
Didn't get in. Not yet.
Did everyone else get their morning jog in this morning, guys?
Yeah.
I kind of did try to run around the office, get everything set up. That's the closest.
That is the melodious tones of our friend Jim DePola. I call him Jimmy D. He runs the top producing Keller Williams team, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Florida Home Pros team. Jimmy D, how you be?
I'm doing good. Thank you. So, so how crazy is this market? I just, well, before we get into how crazy is this market, because I'm going to ask Ross a question. I'm going to throw him under the bus. It's not going to be too bad, Ross, I promise. But let's go ahead and talk to Scott, because you know what? He's been waiting like 25 minutes to get on the phone.
All of it, yeah.
Yes, sorry about
Patience
that.
of a saint, truly. He's one of the remarkable players out there running around, putting people in homes, helping with listings. You name it, he does it. He's a superstar on the Florida Home Pros team. Scott Spainhour joins us on this Saturday morning with some details about an open house. How are you, my friend?
Hey, guys. Good morning. How we doing?
Good, Scott. How are you? Thanks for your patience, man.
Hey, no problem. I was hoping he was going to get me on air sooner than later because I still got a little preparations to do for the open house in Boynton Beach today, guys. I'm going to be in Leisureville, which is, to me, one of the hidden gems for 55 and over communities in South Florida and affordability. This is a two bedroom, 2 bath, around 1,300 square feet under air, 1-car garage, concrete block home, cement tile roof, and it has interesting. This community has what's called rec leases, but it's not like your typical rec lease. There's a lot of 50 over communities that never goes away. This one, once it's paid for on that property, it's paid for the life of the property. And the one that we're selling, the rec lease is paid for. And what that means is this community has an 18-hole golf course that you can play on for free for the rest of your life. And in addition to that, they've got the normal amenities, the pools, the saunas, the bocce ball, the shuffleboard, active 55 and over community. And it's at, I'm going to be out there today, guys, from 11 to 2. The address is 1311 Southwest 21st Street. You can go to our Facebook, YouTube, website, all of those different places to check out kind of a preview, but I'd really like to see you in person. Easy to find it, a bunch of different ways. Just poke it in your GPS. We'll have some directional signs set up. And affordability, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, single family home, $300,000 with free golf for life. Can't beat it.
That's awesome.
I love Leisureville. I've actually, back in the day, when I used to flip homes, I flipped several homes in Leisureville. That I always called it my honey hole, because back then you used to be able to buy the units for like $90,000 to $110,000, not fixed up, and then you'd fix them up, and then you would sell them for like Mac Daddy, unless they were on the lake, was like $250, right? So. But that was 15 years ago. So at 300, that's still, thinking over 15 years, that they're still very affordable. The HOA over at Leisureville, there's actually 2 communities over there, but they're both pretty similar. They're run pretty similar. The HOAs are very reasonable. And let me tell you, the neighbors over there are great. And another thing about this 55 and over community is that they have no problem with big dogs. You go out there, you see all these people walking their dogs, all kinds of dogs, little dogs, medium dog, big dogs. But it is a dog-friendly community as long as you keep them leashed. So that's another really nice feature of Leisureville. So, Scott, can you tell the address again, and can you tell us how to look for it on the internet so that people could check it out before they go to the open house today?
Absolutely. It's 1311 Southwest 21st Street, and that's in Boynton Beach. Again, there's several ways that you can enter into that community. This is closest to Woolbright. So if you're coming off 95 at Woolbright, just go west, follow your GPS, and it's 2 turns off of Woolbright. You can find information on our website, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. If you go to our Facebook page, you're going to see several ads that we did and put out to thousands and thousands of people throughout South Florida and then also Northeast. Lots of different ways to check it out. But again, would love to see everybody out there in person, and I'll be out there from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay, excellent, Scott. Do us a favor, dude. Sell that house.
Come on, Scott. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you being on.
I just want to give Scott a shout out one more time. To get that house under contract for Mark and Tina under list price, with the contingency that they got to sell their house. Their house wasn't on the market yet. You did very, very, very good, Scott. So thank you so much. And just keep up the work. That's why you're one of the mega agents over here.
You got it, guys. I'm knocking on wood. Please do the same. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for your patience there, Scott. Go check out that house. You're going to love it. It sounds like, especially if you're into the golf lifestyle. Scott out today. And again, appreciate your patience there. He dialed up toll free at 877-927-6969. Full on verification that it is working well this morning. If you got questions, comments, concerns, dial it as well. In the world of real estate, we got the team assembled to handle all that and so much more. And we won't keep you waiting like we did Scott. We like talking to the people. It's just Scott, unfortunately, was timed in with the start of the show. But we'll get right to your phone calls at 877-927-6969. If you're not comfortable on air, go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop.
Okay, two crazy signs. We're still in a crazy market, okay? The first one is a national thing. So Zillow. We've been talking about how Zillow kind of imploded. They used to have a thing called an iBuyer program, kind of. And what does that mean? Zillow will, if your house is on the market, Zillow will automatically give you a blind offer. There are other companies that do this too, including Keller Williams. I'm not a big fan of these kind of iBuyer programs. The company will give you a blind offer on what they'll pay for your property. And then they have all these extra costs that you normally don't have when you're working with the realtor. And then you end up paying probably 3 to 5% more than you would pay if you were with the realtor. But the benefit is you don't have to be, I'm sorry, my mom's calling the phone. You don't have to be.
Hi, Dottie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So
on the wrong line. She needs to call the 696
hotline,
right?
Yeah, the hotline.
So the thing is that
you don't have to list your home, Jim.
You don't have to show the house or anything, right? You don't have to stage it. You don't have to show it. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for pulling me through that. Well, Zillow found out that we found out after they've been doing this for several years that Zillow has gone bust, and they're tremendously upside down. I think it was something like they lost $600 million or something this year. And they felt like there was going to be another $250,000 to $350,000 loss before the full end of the year. They gave a report in September that they lost like almost $750 million, right? Go ahead, Russ.
I bought a Zillow. I bought a condo from Zillow.
Did you really? That's the one you bought?
And they purchased it for $277 in April and sold it to me for $265.
Right. That's here's a perfect example. That's what's happening all over the country. So Zillow gave us a whole bunch of different reasons why this is happening. And their biggest complaint, they said, is they couldn't get contractors to renovate the properties quickly enough. But later it came out that their algorithm, the Zestimate, I love this, right? The Zestimate that they were using, which is their own algorithm they put out here for everybody to use, right? So like when you go on your home, if you plug in your home, they're probably going to give you a estimate whether your house is on the market or not, what Zillow thinks your home is worth. And then people actually use that crazily, right? Well, Zillow's gone bust with that as far as that division of the company. It's bust. See you later. They don't know if they're coming back right away. So now they made an announcement this week. They're dumping 18,000 homes across the country. Most of them are in Phoenix because they've only been in certain parts of the country. But now they're going to flood the market with all their homes that they bought, and they're probably going to sell most of them for losses just to get rid of them so they can reset. And they made such a big screw up. They're buying something like $750 million of their shares back on top of it, which actually boosts the stock, right? But they did that, but they had to come up with $750,000, to offset these problems that they created for themselves.
Million.
And now the poor Phoenix people, those area in poor Phoenix, they like to buy things in clustered areas, right? That's what they were doing. They were trying to stay in small areas and buy. And then when their prices weren't good, there was some fears from the appraisal industry that what they were doing was buying. So let's say they had 5 homes in the neighborhood and they overpaid for them. They can't sell them. And then Johnny has a house and Mike has a house in that same neighborhood. They were going in and buying Johnny and Mike's houses for more money than they were worth in order to try to raise the prices on the other 5 houses they were trying to sell. That's like a sham, man. That's such a scam trying to do that. Now, it's not illegal. Don't get me wrong. It's not like illegal or anything, but it's crazy town. It's like these people do not know how to be realtors. You know, hey, Zillow, you know, when it comes to being a purveyor of putting houses on the market for people to see, you suck as a realtor. Stick with the advertising and the marketing. Don't be a realtor. Do yourself a favor. Don't be a realtor, Mr. Zillow. So anyway, now these
something
houses
must have gone horribly wrong in their algorithm, Jim, because let's take Ross's scenario there. In order for them to be profitable, they had to buy these homes at deflated market value, right? So they had to be buying it below what they thought the thing was worth.
No, they weren't doing that. What happened was they got so cocky, Mike. That's what you would think they were doing, right?
They just thought values were going to keep going up.
Right. They were treating it like a stock. They're treating real estate like a stock. That's why these iBuyer things are crazy. Anybody that goes through these, there are times where they do work for people, but usually you're losing a lot of money and it's very inefficient in a way. Well, maybe not inefficient, but it's very risky and you're losing a lot of money. But the thing is, what they were doing is they thought they knew the market so well that they were predicting that the market was just going to keep going up. So if they paid 2 to 3% above market value, by the time they put the house back on the market, they still thought they were going to make they're only making about 3%. Their business model is to make 3% off of these houses. So they're making the profit as a half a side of a real estate commission.
Yeah.
That's very thin margins. That's
but
why
you
I don't
spread it
like
out over, what'd you say, 18,000?
And that's
properties?
just right. And they did sell a significant amount. Thank God these iBuyer programs, they're only like 1% of the total market in the country. So it isn't like, you know, they're not a big market share, but they were trying to grow, and they're trying to prove all these companies that you don't need a realtor at all and you can just strip it out. Well, what they're finding is you kind of do need a realtor because you got to be eyes and ears on the ground. And we kind of know the market about what's going to happen in the future way better than Mr. Zillow. And I can prove it because they're bankrupt, you know, in that division, and I'm not.
Hey, Jim, you mentioned that they're going to be, I think you said, flooding the market with these homes. That might sound good to prospective buyers, right? Like, is one way for prices to level off is if inventory increases, is it going to make an impact on our inventory, like the amount of homes that they have down here?
It's like a flea on the back of a giant dog.
All right.
Yeah, but it'll help a little, maybe in pocket neighborhoods. Remember, we always say that real estate is street by street, block by block. There might be some neighborhoods where it will help, but it's going to be so negligible overall. But it's just that's just a sign of how crazy this market is. Right now, we're going to go ahead, Mike.
I had just one more question. Ross, was your home in disrepair? Like, did they need to find a contractor to come fix it up before they could sell it?
No. And what's crazy is the exact same unit, just like 2 buildings over, sold for like $355. So they like if they would, I don't know.
You know what we're going to do now that I'm thinking about this? I just came up with an idea. Our staff is going to hunt for the Zillow properties on the MLS, and we're going to try to find buyers and go in for the jugular. You know, we're just going to go in there and throw a lower offer in than normal and see if they take it. Because if we have a really strong qualified buyer, they might take the lower offer. Like Ross, when Ross bought his house, I'm sure he was a really strong qualified buyer. Now, I don't want to get into personal stuff, Ross, but you called us a couple of weeks ago because somebody reached out to you and wanted to pay way more for your unit than what you paid for it. Mm-hmm. Correct?
Yeah. And
it was such a large amount of money, you're actually thinking about it maybe.
Yeah, no, I did think about it, but, you know, kind of the same, I just bought it. And then after everything, like, was it worth it to sell it real quick and the tax implications and things like that? So
yeah, the capital gains would have ate up so much of the profit because you just bought the house. But isn't it interesting? So how did they end up contacting you? I'm interested about that.
Just in that community, there were no units for sale. And
did the realtor call you, or was it a buyer?
The realtor called me and, you know, said, hey, you know, I have a couple people that want to buy in here, but there's nothing for sale, you know.
Well, good. A++ for that realtor that they're taking the effort to actually do that. That buyer is very lucky. They got a good realtor out there, truly hunting for properties and not just saying nothing's on the market. They're trying to make the market. So good for them. But I understand where you came from on that. That was crazy because then we had to start figuring out what would happen to capital gains issues and all that other stuff. And then, and I'm sure, Ross, that you bought the house because you the unit because you liked it. You liked the area, you liked the unit, right? So just selling it and make a profit, then you have to go house hunting again. You might not get something you liked as much.
Yeah, for me, it was more of a long-term thing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it was unexpected to get to have that present itself, and it just didn't make sense for me to get rid of it. So.
Yeah, and Jim did give kudos to that realtor for calling Ross and being like, hey, I got some people interested in living there, and I see you just bought. You want to sell. You want a realtor busting your hump like that, actually working for you, go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Jim, game recognized game. Jim gave A+ kudos to that realtor because those buyers are very lucky to be working with a realtor like that. Many just go, it's not on the market. I don't know. We'll see what comes up tomorrow. You want somebody working hard, actually trying to make your dreams come true. Go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Not only do you get great realtors to work for, but you get other wonderful professionals, pros, people that are really good at what they do. That's why I'm part of this team. Experts in their field, like Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach, or Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Just to name a few, I mentioned them because they're right here with us on a Saturday. The rest of the team, we can't put everybody on every Saturday, but they are all very good at what they do. Check out the experience, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You can be a part of the show. Join us at 877-927-6969. That's 23. Jimmy D, why don't we do a little reset here at the top of the hour? We'll come back. We got a bunch more information to get into. We talked about some insurance. We're gonna get into that with Ross Komarinetz. What else are we looking to talk about, Jimmy D?
Yeah, we're definitely we're definitely going to focus on insurance with Ross on the next subject because actually that's some hard news there because things are changing so swiftly in the insurance market. We just want to keep people abreast of what's going on there. We're going to talk to Mike right after that about interest rates so we can squeeze it in. Because this is the last show of the year, I want to make sure we talk about where we started in January with interest rates and where we are today and what might happen in the future. We're going to talk a little bit about the future of the market, but I thought there was something kind of interesting. In Florida, the West may be the new East, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So it may be westward ho in South Florida. We'll talk about that.
Who are you calling a hoe? 877-927-6969. You can be a part of the next segment. We're back 4 minutes from now. If you're not comfortable on air, that's okay. Go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Another full hour. That's one half of our promised 2 hours of infotainment. That's right. A little halftime for you. We're back at it with much more. 4 minutes from now, right here on Real Radio.
You're listening to Real Radio, available everywhere you want to listen. Yeah, even there, on our free iHeartRadio app. Download it now.
Hi there, I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg. Skies for this afternoon will be sunny to partly cloudy with an afternoon high temperature of 79. Light east to northeast winds at 5 to 10 knots will lead to a moderate rip current risk at the beaches. Partly cloudy, patchy late night fog tonight, lows mid to upper 60s. Partly sunny with a 30% shower chance on Sunday with a high of 80.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
Now is the time to shop Dell Technologies' biggest sale of the year. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. So shop Cyber Monday deals on Windows 11 PCs, servers, storage, monitors, and more. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey, Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. When it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because FloridaTalkRealEstate.com has you covered. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
This is WZZR FM, West Palm Beach, Real Radio 92.1, powered by the law offices of Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Been in an accident? Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's 877-927-6969. Toll free. Jimothy will line you up. We'll get you on the air with your questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate. If you want to join in on a conversation we're having, you can do that too. Appreciate you being with us. 92.1, 101.7 worldwide on your iHeartRadio app. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. Florida Talk Real Estate. If you're on YouTube, Florida Talk Real Estate LLC, thank you very much. Remember to like, share, comment, do whatever you like. Be a part of the show. Johnny C, that's me. Good morning to Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great this morning. Doing great.
So you
Feeling
got
good.
You got an elf on the shelf on the magnet.
I was just
there, and then there's one like hanging from your lights.
Yeah, he's just chilling. He's almost hang gliding.
What's his name? What's your elf's name?
I don't know. Do they have names?
Yeah, they get named when they show up on that very first Thanksgiving.
I should pay more attention. There's certain things, Johnny, I just don't store in my brain capacity. You know, I just like some things. Tiffany will tell you. She'll tell me something 3 times, and I still don't know what the hell she said. So I
think my Tiffany will tell you the same about me. But at least I know our elf's name. It's Joy.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah,
I have no idea. So is that a male elf or a female, or is it?
It's a female elf, and she looks like you got the pajamas on that elf. She got new pajamas this year too.
Yeah, those are what do you call it? What's the pattern? You know, like what do they call that? What?
Burberry? You know what Burberry is?
Maybe
there's
Burberry.
A shout out to old school love docs right there for our longtime Real Radio fans. You ever heard of Burberry?
Burberry. I was going to say plaid, but I think that's what Burberry is, right?
Burberry
pattern. Burberry.
Tartan.
Anyway. Oh, tartan. I think Ross is right.
Ross, do you have an elf on a shelf in your life? Because you have a child.
I do not.
God bless you.
I'm not even familiar with Elf on a Shelf.
Oh, Ross, you have years.
You're supposed to like move them or something. I don't
know.
No, you can't touch them.
You can't touch them. They leave at night to go back to Santa and tell Santa how your child's been, and then they come back the next day and they hide in a new place and they gotta find them. You can't touch them. They lose their magic if you touch them.
Oh, it's like you can't touch a baby bird when it falls out of the nest.
That's a lie.
It's Ross, you should look at it because you'll have years of entertainment. Now, in our case, you can see we have two elves, and one of them looks like he was taped to the refrigerator. So I think the other elf did that to him because he couldn't have taped himself like that. I think they're kind of like at each other. They're competing. I don't know if they're brothers or sisters or what's going on. But
I thought it was a magnet. So that other one that goes nameless actually physically taped that other elf to the fridge. Wow, they got quite a competition between them.
I think their name are Alpha and Beta. So Alpha has got Beta.
For all the parents that have an elf on their shelf, God bless. It gets tougher and tougher. There's only so many hiding places in a house. But this year, our elf has gotten really, really creative. She really, truly has. Ross Komarinetz, Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach, does not have an elf on the shelf, but he's
not
going
have an elf.
He will tomorrow.
I have a hat on a bee.
Similar.
That sounds like a rap song. Hat on a bee.
That's the edited version, right? Jimmy D's with us as well every single Saturday. That's Jim DePola. He runs the top producing Keller Williams team. Also, no elf on the shelf. That team, y'all, is Florida Home Pros team. Know it, love it, experience it at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Jimmy D, how are you?
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you. What it looks like the elf on the shelf hanging in the air. That looks like it's almost like being parachuted down to me from the screen. Looks like
hang gliding, something. It's magical, Jim.
And the elf on the fridge looks like somebody ran it over. Somebody ran it over and then slapped it up on the fridge.
Our elf hid so well the other day that Santa actually texted me to give my daughter a clue to where our elf hid. And it was I was like, whoa. And she's like, Santa? And it like on the caller ID, the text ID and everything was all Santa. She's like, how does he have your number? I'm like, I don't know. It's crazy.
You know what the crazy thing is, guys, is there is not a kid in this house who's not in high school. And we still got the elves floating around this time of year.
That's so true.
So good.
I forgot about one shout out. Then we're going to get an insurance with Ross because there's so much going on. When I read this article, it's like, oh my God. So I wanted to give a shout out to Michael. I forgot about this during the shout outs. Michael was one of the first short sales we did in January. I don't know if it was January, but in 2012 when we started this show, January 7th, 2012. Mike was one of our first short sales. So I helped him sell his home, short sell it for less than what it was worth, walk away debt free. I think he got some money at the end to pay for moving costs and things like that. I don't remember, but he definitely walked away debt free. And now cut to 10 years later, and it was time to sell another home that's not in financial distress. And we put that on the market a couple of weeks ago, and we got full asking price, and we just got the appraisal back today. So, yesterday we got the appraisal back, so everything's good with his deal. We're going to move forward to close. Congratulations, Michael. So I think that's in a way, I think that might be my oldest customer because I think we dealt with him in 2012. And then we dealt with him again in 2022. And I don't know if I've had any other 2012 customers do a deal with us since then. So that would make him the longest apart between the first deal and the most recent deal in our team. So that's kind of interesting.
That's a good time to ask for callers, Johnny. So if you predate that, what month in 2012?
I'm not sure, but January is when we started. And I want to mention one other thing about that. Because we're not having the show for the next 3 weeks, the new show that we're going to be on, our first show back, is going to be January 7th, Johnny. So it's going to be the actual real 10th 8-year anniversary of the show, the day we launched, right?
Wow.
So back then we were on 2 to 3 p.m. I don't know if Johnny remembers this, but we were on 2 to 3 p.m. after the locker room.
Yep.
And let me tell you, that was the sweetest spot. I love that time slot. That was the best slot. I would have kept that slot forever and ever and ever if they didn't move me. Coming after the locker room was always great instead of coming on before. But we've had a good run. We've had a good run down here and everything. But because of the holidays, where they land and everything, and a personal thing I got to do, we're not going to be on for the next 3 weeks a year. In fact, Mike and Ross didn't even know that. They're just finding out right now.
I'm wondering if you're missing a weekend.
January.
Are we not doing next Saturday, the 11th, Jim?
No, that isn't the 11th. Is next week the 11th?
Yeah.
7 days.
Oh, maybe we are doing next week. So we're not doing
the 4th.
Wait, no, next week is the 18th, I think.
No, you're missing a week, Jimmy. That's why you kept saying 3
I guess
shows
we're going to be
gonna
on
miss.
next week, guys. I don't know. Okay, maybe
There we
we're on
go.
next week, but then after that, we're not having a show until January 7th. So everybody's got to come on for a little bit on January 7th, even if you can't be on the whole show. So, Ross, if you're jogging, you're going to do it on your phone while you're jogging, okay? Just to say hello on the 10th, okay?
And I hate to burst your bubble, Jim, but that Saturday is actually going to be the 8th.
Yeah.
What do you mean the 8th?
Jim, you got to go to 2022.
The 7th.
Oh, it's going to be off by 1 day. Okay, well, whatever. That's because I worked out the weekends wrong since Mike corrected me. It's been a very hectic week because of the move and everything. So it's just been very crazy. Hey, want to give a shout out to Daniel Jarina and Mike Arons and Francis Whitney, who comes to the show every single week. Hey, guys, thank you so much for checking in. Happy holidays, everybody. Guess we're talking to you next week, which is great. I thought we were gone for a while. So all that stuff I said at the beginning of the show, never mind.
Disregard.
We'll say it again next week.
We'll say it again next week. Okay. So let's talk about insurance, Ross. The reason why I'm bringing this up was the Florida Chamber of Commerce came out with their own report about what's happening in the property insurance market in Florida and what they're projecting is going to happen in the future. So I don't think it takes a Swami to figure out what they're projecting is going to happen in the future, which is prices are going to continue to go up for insurance, and that it's going to be tougher and tougher. And Ross, the thing I want to ask you about this, so they've already changed a lot of regulations, right? They already they made it easier for people not to be accepted into Citizens, or if they're in Citizens and they can get a private insurance policy that isn't outrageously expensive, they're kind of pushed over to go to private versus Citizens Insurance. Citizens Insurance has always been called the insurer of last resort because it's backed by the taxpayers. So if that company ever needed extra money, the deep pockets are the taxpayers. So they started out in 2019 with about 420,000 policies, but now they have over almost 750,000 policies, and they think it's going to go up to 1 million in the next year or two. What they're saying, Ross, is, and this to me is very surprising. They say that, let me see, Florida, for the whole country for homeowners insurance, Floridians were 76% of all the lawsuits involved in insurance claims in the whole country. Florida is 76% of all the home insurance lawsuits, right?
Somebody's got to pay for those billboards on 95.
Well, that's funny. They brought up the billboard thing. They said the other statistic they had is they have more billboards trying to get you to sue your insurer than any other place in the country. Did you know that? Did you know that, Ross?
I mean, I didn't know that was a statistic, but I can believe it.
That's so wild that you brought that up, because I just read that in this article. It's in the Sun Sentinel, by the way. Let me just tell you the headline in case you want to see it. It's
so when you see lawsuits, Jim, you're talking about people suing their insurance companies, or the insurance companies suing for fraud?
So what they're doing is people are putting up billboards saying, hey, if you want to basically sue your insurer, do you have an insurance claim? You didn't get enough money, sue your insurer.
Gotcha.
Right? So we're 76% of all those type of lawsuits across the country. Now, I'm one of them. Okay, we talked about it on the air. I had Heritage Insurance. Those people were a ripoff. I will never use them again. I had to fight them, I think, 18 months for a very simple thing. My AC leaked. It created a flood. It caved in my drywall. We did everything that the people told us to do, to fix it. And then we ended up getting mold, right? And we went and filed a claim, showed them the work that we did up front, because we weren't just letting it fester, right? We did what we were supposed to do. I don't know. We went through, Ross and Ross was awesome through this whole process. He went to mediation with us. He was so heavily involved, calling up the insurance company for us. But there was only so much the agent could do. We really had to fight it ourselves. We went to mediation. I think we went to mediation 3 times. And all 3 times, you could tell the mediator agreed with us. And the insurer said, we don't care. We're going to go to the next level. We don't care. We're going to the next level. So then we had to take them to court. And we actually had to go to court and went over the whole thing. So I get concerned through my experience that they're making it sound like everybody's just trying to rip off. If you're suing the insurance company, that you're a rip-off artist. Well, some people are suing them because you don't want to give up the money that's in your policy that I paid for. I paid for this coverage and you don't want to give me the money back, right? You don't want to give me the money when it's time to come. But when you want the premium, you don't mess around with that. But when it comes to my claim, then you don't want to pay me. So that was my situation. Now, I know that we have the most fraud for insurance anywhere in the country, and I do know that. So this is just a really, really tough situation. You could see both sides, both sides of this coin. And it's really hard. I don't know how they're going to fix it, but until they do, it's going to get worse and worse. And Ross, do you have any perspective from a guy in the trenches of this whole situation? I don't even know how they're going to be able to fix this, if you will.
When I'm talking to people and we're talking about how we talk about how rates have gone up, pretty aggressively over the past 2 years. And so when I'm talking to people about their rate increases and just how expensive things are, one of the first things is, well, we haven't had a hurricane in, whatever X amount of years. And, that used to be the thing that the carriers were pretty afraid of. But now what they're afraid of is the fraudulent roof claims and fraudulent water damage claims, or just water damage claims in general. Just because on those older homes, they're starting to see those pipes fail. So those water damage claims are starting to pour in. What the carriers are starting to do, or what they've done really, anytime your home is over 40 years, they're giving you limited water damage coverage. So your policy is only going to come with $10,000 of water damage coverage. And that's pretty common. And if you don't know if your policy has full water damage, you can always give us a call and we'll go over it with you and go over the coverages with you. But go ahead, Johnny.
You can supplement that, though, can't you, Ross? You can't.
You can't supplement it?
No.
Wow.
So, if your house is over 40 years old with a lot of carriers, it's only going to come with $10,000 of water damage coverage.
So what would happen hypothetically? Let's say that you were buying a home, you took it down to the studs. It's 50 years old. Okay, you took it down to the studs. And from the cinder block, and let's say cinder block, from the cinder block in, everything's new, which means all new supply lines. Then what?
So it's still going to come with $10,000 water damage with any other carrier. If you've completely renovated the house like that, and you've put in all new plumbing, all new wires, you've put in a new AC, replace the windows and put on a new roof, if you started that work in 2017 and now everything is done, I would be able to get you a policy assuming the house was built in 2017. So I have a carrier that will give you an updated year built if you've renovated and replaced those 4 things. So if anybody's listening and has done that, and they're still, if you want to get a quote on better coverage and assuming a newer year built, give us a call. We'll be able to do that for you.
If
but
you have pictures and receipts.
Yeah, well, what it is it's a form. It's a form that you have a contractor fill out. It's an affidavit. They put their license number on there, and they're attesting to it that everything has been, is brand new. But like I said, the carriers are more concerned about all of the fraud that happens. And one of the bills, or one of the provisions in the bills that they try to pass in July, was that roofing contractors can't go knock on people's doors and saying, "Hey, I got your neighbor a new roof from that hail claim back in April. You remember?" And they're like, "No, but can I go on the roof? I think I can get you a new roof." But they're trying to limit that.
I got a text 2 weeks ago, Ross, about people looking at roofs in the neighborhood, right? So texted me, somehow I'm connected to the house, got my phone number, send me a text, "Hey, we're going to be in your neighborhood. Let's take a look at your roof," right? So that exists out there.
Yeah.
It's I wanted to ask you on when they have that water, the limited water coverage, is there also potential like a mold exclusion?
No, so the mold coverage is separate.
Okay.
So, but typically on most policies come with $10,000 of mold. If the carrier allows it, always increase it to $25,000. So all our policies come with $25,000 of mold. So we always try to increase that. But the mold is a separate coverage, and it's $10,000 it's limited to $10,000 for everything except for a hurricane. So if the roof blows off during a hurricane and you have $25,000 of water damage, then that's covered under the hurricane portion. But if it's anything other than a hurricane, then a lot of the time it's limited to $10,000.
And that's basically going to be like pipes, etc. But you can get flood insurance, right?
Yeah. So flood insurance is separate. Is separate. So that's excluded under your homeowners anyway. But it's pipes or a roof leak or something like that. Any water damage that is not a result of a hurricane will typically be limited at $10,000 if the home is over 40 years old. For new policies, you may have an old policy that you got 5 years ago, and it still has full water damage.
Some of the other stuff. Just let me read you a headline of this article in case you want to look it up. It was in the Sun Sentinel. It's a very good article. It's called "Get Ready to Pay More as Risks for Homeowners Insurance Rise in Florida," and it was published on December 3rd. Okay, so that was yesterday, right? I don't know my calendar, so I got to ask everybody now. It's December, right? Okay, yeah. Here are some things that I found very interesting. It says, check this out, this statistic. According to the Florida Chamber, one of the reasons why we remain so high in Florida for insurance is half of the world's properties most vulnerable to catastrophe are in Florida. Half of the whole world? Yeah. Now, they said catastrophe. So it isn't just hurricanes, I assume, but I'm sure, and also rising waters, flood risk, from being inundated from global warming, right? And then also hurricanes, right? And we do have fires once in a while and stuff, but it's rare. So anyway, they're saying it's half. That was very stunning to me.
Especially what's been happening in Texas the last few years.
And California. You know, how many wildfires can they have? It's like, is there anything left in that state that isn't charred? It's very toasty over there. And so that was another statistic I thought was interesting. And here's another one. It says that they're predicting right now if a category 4 or 5 hurricane hit a major part of our state, like a well-developed part of our state, they know that they're already betting that they'll spend at least $250 billion just if a 4 or 5 hits like Tampa or Fort Lauderdale or West Palm or something like that, Miami. They're looking minimum 250 right off the top. So there's plenty of money out there, insurance money out there. There's these investors that they project have about $20 trillion set aside that they would like to put in reinsurance, like to insure insurance companies, 20 trillion with the T. But most of these investors that want to invest just in insurance, like reinsurance, they don't want to touch Florida. That's the big thing. They'll do it in other states, but not Florida. And they're saying that one of the reasons is that Florida is one of the least profitable insurance companies in the I want to say insurance companies, but insurance companies make the least profits compared to other insurance companies across the country. We make the least profit per policy. And they're saying that now this is a chamber thing, so I don't know if this is true or not, but the chamber says in their study they could actually target that about $645 per average homeowner policy goes to attorney's fees for every customer. So that's about 35%. Now, I find that to be a little kind of play around with the numbers, because the chamber, I think, the chamber says they're trying to be fair to both sides, but I think they lean more towards the industry if it comes down to one or the other.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they're just taking the amount of money that has been paid out in attorney's fees and just dividing that by the amount of policies that are out.
You're probably right. That's probably exactly true. Go ahead, Mike.
Haven't you said before, Ross, some astronomical number goes to of claims paid goes to attorney fees and costs?
Well, I think I remember when we were doing the show, I was sitting in my car doing it, and I think it was something like only 8% of the claims money that was paid out actually went to claims. Like the other 92% paid for the attorney's fees.
Yeah. So that seems like one potential avenue of solving the issue. But
yeah, I mean that's really the thing, is we're just such a litigious state. You know, one of the things, you know, I think in that article or in similar articles, they call it litigation for profit, where they'll just go ahead and sue the insurance company, or the attorneys will sue the insurance company in hopes that they get $1 more, and then they get their attorney's fees paid by the insurance company.
That's what my attorney said when I was doing the lawsuit. They said as long as we won at least $1 in the lawsuit, I wouldn't have to pay anything to the attorney.
Yeah.
Now my attorney was very legitimate. He wasn't some kind of crazy attorney. He's like, hey, a shady character guy, very legitimate. But that's what the rule was. I was like, I'm not sure I want to go through this lawsuit. He goes, as long as we win $1, you are not going to have to pay anything, guaranteed. So that's why we went forward.
You know, the roofers go knock on your door. They try and get you a new roof. The insurance company denies them. So then they sue. So they get an attorney to sue the insurance company, and then everybody gets paid by the insurance company. The attorney, the roofer, everybody gets paid. So
I'd be curious how many private adjusters are stationed in Florida as well.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I want to get back to this. I want to take the caller because he has a question, an insurance question, and also a home equity question. So we're going to take Riggs, and then we're going to get back to this because it gets into the next thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, so if you want to be a part of the show, you got a question, you're welcome to join us at 877-927-6969. Still got plenty of time for your phone calls. Riggs has picked up his phone and dialed that up. He said good morning to Jimothy, and now he's on Florida Talk Real Estate on a Saturday morning. Riggs, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Johnny C. I'm doing great. How about yourself, bud?
Really well. Thanks so much for asking. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving, buddy.
Yeah, it was great. I was going for a jog here, and I figured I'd dial in on old iHeart Radio, and lo and behold, there you guys are. So I figured I'd check in.
Glad you did, buddy. What's going on? What's your question?
Yeah. Well, on the insurance front, I hear you guys talking about extra property insurance, but I don't hear any talk about like other insurance, like life insurance or something to protect like the person who generates the income for the mortgage, whether it's the father or the mother or whoever, you know. Like I was talking to somebody before, and I thought it was I was reasonably well protected. Figured I'd give my family like 7 years if I went out. But the advisor, she seemed to think that I was way underfunded there, and I needed probably another $1 million of coverage to it, which I was just shocked when I heard that. Any thoughts on that piece?
For life insurance?
Yeah, how to go about making sure that you're properly adequately covered on the life insurance front. Because I know it's not property insurance, but still you're getting the risk of not being able to afford the mortgage, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so for life insurance, you kind of have to go through like a what's called a needs analysis. So depending on, what your future looks like with your family, obviously if you owe $500,000 on your mortgage, you want to make sure that you at least have $500,000 of life insurance in case anything happens to you. At least the house gets paid off and your family, doesn't have a mortgage to worry about. And they just have the taxes and if insurance if they choose to, or the homeowner's insurance if they choose to.
Yeah.
Then you have to factor in your loss of income and how that affects your family. Then you got to factor in, do you have children? Do you want to have a college fund for them to make sure that that's established? So whatever, if they're 3 years old, that 15 years from now, there's enough money for them to go to school. If there's any charities that you want to donate to. So, really it just comes down to a needs analysis of how much coverage you actually need. But if your main concern is just, hey, if anything happens to me, I want to pay off my mortgage, then you just need to make sure that you've got enough life insurance for that. But typically you want to give your family some sort of income or something like that to, at least till your kids are out of school or, on their own or something like that. But if that's something that you're interested in, want to sit down with us, we'd be more than happy to talk to you about it.
So I can only imagine, we hear about the fights over insurance claims for property. I can only imagine how sticky situations can be for life insurance claims from time to time.
That's pretty. It's pretty cut and dry.
Is it?
Yeah. Are you breathing? It's pretty cut and dry.
You can't do fraud on that one.
Yeah. You hear about the Dateline specials where
yeah, exactly.
But
the plane went down, but the guy parachuted out. Minutes before. Yeah, I was going to say on that subject, because we don't talk a lot about kind of in general, like financial planning and estate planning, but that you're getting into that world, Ross. You mentioned a lot of things that I know financial planners would be plugging into their simulators, which is, so you let's just say worst case scenario, you pass, covering the mortgage is only one small part. Your family has lost your potential earnings for the rest of your natural life, right? Like, and you want to be able to provide for that. And so that's a good subject, Briggs. I'm glad you brought it up. Life insurance, estate planning, financial planning, all very important.
Yeah, because you can't look at it in silos. You have to look at it as a kind of the whole picture and make a plan accordingly.
Yeah, exactly, Riggs. We also have another caller, Bernie, on the air, but I wanted to get to your home equity question. Also, you had a question about home equity?
Yeah. I can get out of Bernie's way. I was just wondering, like, we're sitting out on a bunch of equity on the house front. It's kind of a related question. What do you do with it? Do you just let it sit there and not incur the 3.25% mortgage interest rate, or do you do something with it? Like, how do you diversify from concentration risk on the property front?
You buy a boat. You do a cash out refinance and you buy a boat.
Or you go on vacation, or you buy a Maserati. I'm joking. Wait, are we back in 2002 right now? I'm joking. So, Riggs, my opinion is, okay, if you're going to use it for good debt, like to pay off good debt or do good debt, like you're putting an addition on the house that's getting value, or a new roof or an AC, my advice is, first of all, it would be good to talk to Mike. Okay, but in general, if you don't need it to, if you really don't need it for something not related to your house, I'd either put the money into the house. So let's say your roof is, 22 years old, and eventually the insurance company is going to pop you and say, hey, if you don't replace that roof, we're going to quadruple your insurance. I would start having that. It would be nice to know you had the equity in house to deal with those kind of issues if they pop up. Okay. And the other thing is that just remember that what goes up must come down. So we're in a very, very good market right now. We've seen extremely high values in properties, but when the market shifts, let's say that you're sitting on $150,000 equity, $200,000 equity, that could easily, a $200,000 equity could easily turn into 150 or 125, right? Yeah. And so don't think that what your house is worth today is going to be worth same thing. It's going to be worth 3 years from now. It might be up, it might be down. So just be very conservative. We've always on this show been very, very conservative about using your home equity for other things. Because you don't want to ever become upside down. When the market shifts, you don't want to be upside down. You want to still be right side up.
Sound good, Riggs?
I hear you.
All right.
Yes,
buddy.
sir.
Hey,
Give me a call. We'll check back in. Thanks.
pleasure to have you with us,
Thank
my
you,
friend.
Riggs.
Enjoy the rest of your jog. We are going to be live next Saturday, so if you got more questions,
We
go ahead
are?
and join us, right? Nice to hear from you, buddy. Thanks for being with us, Riggs.
Oh my gosh.
Looks
Can
like we
we?
got Bernie on. Go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, let's talk to Bernie.
Looks like we got Bernie on hold at 877-927-6969. Insurance question. Perfect. Bernie, welcome. You're on Florida Talk Real Estate. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm sure you guys are doing well too. So, I'm actually an insurance agent. I know a lot about this stuff. But that assignment of benefits that you guys are talking about, getting the new roofs and things through the insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know how bad that is actually hurting the Florida insurance market? Like, it's almost, there's some companies, I mean, there's 4 companies within the last 6 months that they basically went under because of it.
Yeah, I heard of at least 2 in the Sentinel. They mentioned 2 went under. And that's another red flag of why investors don't want to come into the Florida market to invest in the insurance companies down here. So didn't they change it though, Bernie, from assignability to another term? They call it something else now. I heard that the guys are trying to get around it another way. Have you heard about that? The contractors? So instead of giving you an assignment of benefits, they call it something else now.
Well, they do, and the Florida, the legislature in Florida needs to be changed. But so what? And you can even Google this. Go to insurancejournal.com. But basically, every Florida homeowner residence right now is paying about $800 a year more than what they should be because of this. So last year in Florida insurance carriers paid out $1.5 billion in claims. We didn't have any hurricanes. We didn't get hit with any bad hurricanes, and 60% of that went to lawyers' fees.
I totally understand. Can I play devil's advocate with you, Bernie, for a sec? Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay, so like in my situation, so as I mentioned a little earlier, I had a leak in an AC that was in an attic. It caved in the drywall because we were gone, right? We brought in a company without the insurance because we didn't really think this was a big deal. And we got it dried up and cleaned up and everything taken care of, right? And then we found out, we saw evidence of mold happening. So we right away called the insurance company, started trying to deal with it. They didn't want to deal with us. They did not want to deal with us. They gave us what it was going to cost. They were giving us 10 cents on the dollar of what it was costing. They were like, too bad. And they fought me tooth and nail for 18 months. We had to go to court. They actually made us go to court. And when we went to court, the judge took the case for like 6 months. And then he ruled that we had a clause in our insurance policy that we weren't allowed to go to court. We had to do, what do they call it? The umpire or something, Ross? What's that thing they call it? The umpire comes in.
It went
after
like
mediation.
And then, some sort of umpire.
Yeah, so after mediation, it becomes an umpire. And whatever the umpire says, that's what you have to do. And the judge is out of it. And I'm like, why did we even go to court in the first place? What the heck was the point of going to court? So I didn't want to go to court. The insurance company forced me to court. So now the insurance company has attorney fees for a policy that doesn't allow me to sue them in court. So, my devil's advocate here is I understand that there's a lot of fraud. Don't get me wrong. We're in Florida. I used to be a crime reporter. I get it. Okay. But how much of that stuff are they just throwing as garbage when really they're the problem, right? So it isn't just that everybody's trying to rip them off. I wasn't trying to rip them off. All I wanted was my house fixed. And I paid them for 5 years.
Well, and I get that. And there are certain, don't get me wrong, there are definitely certain circumstances where the insurance companies are definitely trying to fight are trying to fight claims that are legitimate, that they should pay out, and they shouldn't be doing that. But you also have to understand what you had said. The language in the policy was that leak sudden and accidental. Because if it wasn't sudden and accidental, you're not on the line. An insurance policy isn't for something that has been happening for a year and causes damage to your home.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, I don't know your whole circumstance, but what I'm saying, though, is I'm not defending the insurance companies here, but I am saying that right now in Florida, what's going on right now with this assignment of benefits it's basically screwing every Florida homeowner.
Yeah, well, if we're 76% of all the lawsuits in the whole country, something's going on. I mean, I mean, there's no doubt. So I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm not playing hard devil's advocate. Okay. But, so there's a little bit of each side, and I think it's way more leaning towards fraud than people like me who weren't trying to be fraudulent and just had a problem with the insurance company. But the whole thing is a mess right now. And Mike, are you finding right now that the insurance policies are killing deals, or are you not getting too much friction?
I mean, I could see how an insurance premium could kill a deal if you're not out in front of it. But we keep a pretty good pulse on what rates are going to look like, and we're really cognizant of spotting the type of home that we're looking at, and oftentimes getting a quote before entering a contract. I think Mark, that you mentioned earlier, we reached out to Ross's team to get a number just to give us an idea, and why? Because I think it was a frame construction or something with the age of home, and so we had to know where we were going to stand. The homeowner wanted to know, or the potential homeowner, the buyer, and we needed to know if it was going to work as far as debt to income. So yeah, if you don't have a good pulse on those rates and where you think they're going to be when you're estimating, you can really get in trouble. Yeah,
absolutely, I agree with that.
Hey, since we got two insurance guys now, Ross and Bernie, did I hear a whisper of some sort of bright spot come February or something? More carriers coming into play, or is there anything to that, or no?
I mean, I haven't.
There's some admitted carriers coming into play here in the next month or so. Some big ones. So,
well, there we go. There's the silver lining.
Hopefully, they make some relief, but yeah, I mean, like again, I'm not trying to sit here and defend the insurance companies, but there is a lot of fraud going on.
I agree with you, Bernie. Yeah,
the price for it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I understand what you're saying about that, and you and Ross see it every day. Like, you guys are down in the trenches, so you're hearing the people calling up for the claims, everything. Bernie, thank you so much for calling us, and try to check out the show and like our page so other people knows about it. Like our Facebook or YouTube if you think about it. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Bernie. Have a great rest of your weekend. And like Jimmy D said, like, share, and appreciate you very much for being out there, Bernie. Have a good rest of your weekend. 877-927-6969. We got about 20 minutes remaining, a little under, but you're welcome to join us if you want to jump into the conversation. Don't be shy. Jim at the Online Yub. We'll get you on the air. Remember, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop. You can call the hotline at 888-973-7828, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll find that hotline again at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Find us on Facebook and YouTube, Florida Talk Real Estate and Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. That's your YouTube address there. Thanks for being with us every single Saturday. What are we getting into next there, Jimmy D?
Well, this kind of ties into the insurance. It's also a trending thing that I thought was kind of interesting, right? So one of the things I noticed, I've been reading about, is about this whole global warming and the rising tides, right? And down in Dade County, there's parts of Dade County, Fort Lauderdale, even Palm Beach, I think, in the Palm Beach area, where it isn't raining, it hasn't rained for days, and all of a sudden the streets start flooding and stuff from the king tides and things like that. And sometimes it isn't even king tides right now. In Fort Lauderdale, it's a really big deal, and so is Miami. It's like a really big deal in Fort Lauderdale, right? Venice might become, they always call Fort Lauderdale the Venice of Florida. Well, it might become Venice, unfortunately. So I've been reading about that a lot, and I read something about 2 years ago where a lot of heavy-duty forward-thinking investors are not buying properties in the eastern part of Miami-Dade County by the water. They started buying about 5 miles to 10 miles west of the water, and they're buying in all these economically depressed areas, and they're just buying off huge parcels of land. Some of it owned by mom and pop shops and stuff, and allowing them to work there and continue to work there, so they're buying as landlords. But the reason why they're doing that is they're hedging their bets on what happens with global warming and where the waterfront's going to be later. So they're going out like 5 miles west where people aren't thinking. Well, there was a really nice article in the Sun Sentinel talking about mansions are moving west as real estate market source. And before, back in the day, if you heard somebody buying, typically, if you heard somebody buying a $10 million home or more, when you think of Florida and you think of multi-million dollar homes, what do you think of? Think of water, right? You think of waterfront. But that isn't happening now. There's tons of multi-million dollar homes being built west. Delray's a perfect example of that in Palm Beach County. If you go by Delray and the Turnpike, a little west over there, they've been doing it for a few years, but they have all these developments of multi-million dollar homes, and there's already multi-million dollar communities out there. And I read in the paper recently, in the papers, that there's more developments out there where they're going to be building these really expensive homes. And what they're finding out is the developers are betting on this. The developers are betting on a couple of things. The first thing is for the short term is the COVID, right? So for the pandemic issues, they're thinking people want large yards. They don't want to be cooped up in a hotel condo, over with these gorgeous oceanfront views, because they're trapped in that building with all these other people. So they're looking for land and to be spread out and to have an outdoor lifestyle on their property. So they're going to have the pools and the summer kitchens and maybe movie theater kind of thing, outdoor movie theaters and stuff like that, for that kind of lifestyle, and give up the water, right? Which I think is really interesting. But the other reason why they're saying they're doing this is because they're trying to get ahead of the global warming and not have to deal with those kind of issues. And I've been joking about this for like 5 years, that one of my buddies said he wanted to buy an oceanfront condo. So I said to him, well, if you're going to do it, get the longest loan you can. Don't buy cash, because you might not be able to live there in 20 years, right? In 20 years, it might not be the condo there, right? So take the longest loan out you can. I was joking about that with them. But I just think this is really interesting that now the West is going to get like these kind of palatial mansions that you would expect like in town of Palm Beach or Manalapan. So we're talking about like 12,000 square foot homes and stuff. We're talking about the real deal mansions.
When are they going to start building high-rise condos out west? That's what I want to know. Instead of ocean views, it's going to be like acreage views, right? Or Westgate views or whatever. But
I know. Right?
Instead of the palatial mansions, they need to be building, multi-unit housing out here, and then I'll start to be a little bit nervous.
And people are really buying into it, because all the other types of developers, like all the shopping store, the commercial developers, they're all, of course, because they're getting all these high-end clients, they're going to be buying these multi-million dollar homes. So now they're doing all this other coexisting development on the commercial side to satisfy the needs. And I was looking at what they're building out there, and I was like, wow, it's like you almost don't have to go west of Military Trail, and you could just like live west of Military Trail in a large part of these communities and never go west of Military Trail, and your whole life could be west of Military Trail. So It's just weird. It's just interesting how the changes are happening right now. It's really interesting about that. So we'll see.
Yeah, it looks like people are, starting to want to get more land, put a big, out west, big house,
2 acres.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So these are some of the amenities they want to put in it. Like this one architect who's building these houses that are between 7,000 to 15,000 square feet on 2 acres of land, right? The prices start at 7.5. They're going to have 120-foot long pools. They're going to have 120-foot long pools, okay? Basketball courts, pickleball courts, tennis courts. Some of them are even turning their homes into movie theaters and safe rooms. I mean, they're going all out. right out there. And some of them are and in this one community, this is in Southwest Ranches, this is in Delray. The community is called Akai Estates. It's going to be a gated community. There's only going to be 16 homes in this community.
Wow.
Right? So this is what you're kind of looking at. So I just think that's kind of an interesting trend in Florida. That isn't what you normally see. Everybody used to think the West was the boonies, right? I remember going four-wheeling when I was a kid all over there. Go four-wheeling in the mud.
I heard a quote from Tiger. So when you're out there building or buying your 15,000 square foot home, Tiger mentioned that he didn't realize how big his mansion was in Jupiter until he was on crutches. Right, so just keep that in mind, guys. It's a lot of square footage to be getting around if you're having some problems.
I didn't see that quote.
You know, if you drive north on 95, on the right-hand side, you'll see just a couple like big houses with like a lot of land, but they're like super exposed to 95, which, you know, I don't know if that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
There's a couple big houses out there that have a lot of land, and there's not a lot of them, and it seems to be like a community. I don't know what community it is, but there's a few of them, and there's not a lot, but they're all big houses, new houses
on 95 too. Like, I mean, yeah, it's weird.
I mean, I'm used to that out kind of here, like, you know, the Wellington and the acreage in Loxahatchee, kind of those big houses on big tracts of land they've been out here for a while, right? You got the horse community, and you have what's the Aero Club, Jim? You know.
Yep, the Aero Club places. They have them in Wellington and Delray, and
and of course Jupiter Farms and Acreage, Loxahatchee, Westgate, all of that. So
Jupiter Farms is on fire right now.
What is
Jupiter Farms?
Of course.
Yeah, the prices are going really, really high out there. That's where Mark and Tina are buying, right? That's the deal they're going in. And the prices that they're paying, you know, and their house went up commensurately, so it's the same thing. Their house wasn't, you know, jumped up in price that they're selling the same as they're buying. But, you know, sixes were high. You know, sixes, you had a pretty good home in Jupiter Farms. Now you're in the sevens and eights for the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been kind of an exclusive area when you're looking for those bigger lots, and it still is. I mean, it's just those are few and far between, but I guess maybe as we go further west, you'll start to see more of that.
Yeah, so we're going to see what happens with all that. I wanted to get into interest rates. I don't feel like I have as much pressure to do this now since we're going to be on the show next week, but we're going to continue because I said I was. So actually, the January 7th anniversary that we actually landed on a Saturday, that was this year, 2021. January 7th was a Saturday.
Yeah.
I think it was at least. So on January 7th, and I'll never forget this because it ties in. Now I can always remember this. What was the lowest interest rate ever recorded in the history of the United States for a 30-year loan? It was on January 7th, 2021. It was 2.65, right? So we started the year, that's the first week because December 31st was the week before on Freddie Mac. So the first week of the year we reported at 2.65. So where are we right now? So today, as we speak, according to Freddie Mac, we're at 3.11, okay? So we went up a half a point over the year, but not really because back in April was the high point, the highest mortgage rate for the whole year, and it was 3.18, and that was, April 1st was 3.18. So we're
that
still...
was just a joke, though, Jim.
I know, right? I was going to say nobody's joking. So, after that April Fool's Day, it dropped all the way down to 2.93 within, like, it kept going down all the way until June. But so 3.18 was the peak. 2.65 was the low, but that was the all-time low of not just for the year, forever, right? Ever since we've had a 30-year loan, since Eisenhower was president. Yes, Eisenhower. Does anybody know who he is? And now we're at 3.11. So overall, we've been pretty flat this year. We've been in the threes. We've been in the high twos, low threes for the whole year, okay? We didn't really have any real dramatic increases except for two parts of the year. In February, when we were at 2.73, we continued to go up all the way until April. We never had a week that we didn't go up from February to April, right? And then from April down to August, we were pretty much going on a downhill track, right? And then we started going up from August 5th until October 28th. We kept going up again. So in August, we were at 277. And then by the end of October, we were at 3.14, right? So that's still only a quarter point. So we were looking at a quarter point fluctuation throughout the whole year. So we know that when interest rates go up 1 point, you lose about 10% purchase power. So people lost, depending on when they bought in the year, they might have lost 2.5% of their purchase power, which isn't the end of the world. That's a fluctuation. That's not really a trend. So we were pretty flat this year. Now, next year, what do we think is going to happen? That's going to be interesting to talk about.
Get your crystal ball.
Yeah, we're going to get into that next week because there's so many moving parts. Me and Johnny will have fun talking about that. You're going to be on next week, right, Johnny?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I am too. So
I will say this, Jim. So if you keep going back, so like January of 2020,
yeah, let me look.
3.72, right? So this time 2 years ago, closer to 4% than 3%. And you go back a year from that, and you're getting to that 5% range. So it's not, and I'm not predicting where it's going, right? But don't be shocked if we move from the 3s to the 4s. I mean,
we haven't had a 4 in so long. It will be a shock. That's what's going to happen because people don't. You and I know, all of us know, because we're in the industry, so we understand this and we're looking at this every day. But if you're a regular person and you hear that you can get a 3% interest rate, usually what we hear, and this is true, Mike, when people can get a 3.25% interest rate, right? They hear was like, I thought I could get 2.7.
Yeah.
But it really, then when they go, well, the 2.7 is the Freddie Mac estimate of what happens across the country with all these criteria. But you specifically can only get 3.25, which might be more common for the person in that situation, but they're expecting it to be lower than they're getting.
Well, yeah, it doesn't help. So I have that conversation a lot, Jim, where people are surprised when they're talking about a refi, for example, especially on a cash out, that it's a 3 something, right? Maybe even 3.5, maybe higher than what you're seeing with Freddie, because they're expecting it too. And it doesn't help that they're still receiving or getting bombarded with refi ads, right?
Yes.
Either through the mail or through in their email, and they've got these like just crazy low numbers, which they want you to call, right? That's why they put that super low number in front of you, because they want you to call, and then at some point you get the real information. And I've had a couple nightmares, people that I've done their purchase, looked at refis, and they were kind of finding these real super low rates, and then they decide to go that, and then the process is just taking a long time, and they're like, hey, Mike, is it supposed to, right? Because I'll still talk to them about it. How's it going? I'm curious. How's it going with these, this national broker who sent you a mailer? And they're having trouble with it. So,
like, if there's a good sign, if we have a 4 in the percentage, if you're not trying to get a home loan, the good sign is that means the economy's really kicking up. I mean, that's, you missed the boat on your best interest rate, but the economy is cranking pretty good because we've been going down for the last couple of years because the economy needs the bolster. We need it. It's been a lot of smoke and mirrors. So the 4, not great for all the buyers that are feeling like, oh man, I missed the boat. But it will mean the economy's going a little bit better. So we always got to look for that little silver lining, I guess, right?
Yeah. Isn't the economy going great right now, Johnny? Stock market's up, like.
That's not the economy. That's not the economy. Power. Never, ever been a part of the economy. Ever, Mike Rauch. It's so good to see your smiling faces, guys. Mike, you gonna be here next Saturday?
Yes, sir.
Ross?
If you'll have me.
Oh, yeah, we'll have you on for sure, Ross. We love having you on.
Absolutely. Well, good. We get to do it again. We'll definitely throw a bunch more information at you. The market's always changing, and this team is in it every single day, so we'll keep you up to speed. Thank you for being with us every single Saturday on Facebook, YouTube, tuning in on the radio, 92.1, 101.7, whether you're on the iHeartRadio app, wherever you might be around the country, around the globe. Thank you very much. Remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is .com. It's your one-stop real estate shop, your access to the entire team, the players you see here on a Saturday, and so much more. Pros, they work together cohesively to be able to get through what you're trying to get done and get it done with a smile on your face where you're recommending this team to other people. That's what it's about, building relationships, getting the desired outcome, and then you being so fond of us, you refer to your friends and family. Light it up on Facebook, YouTube, share, comment, like. Thank you very much for being with us. And again, like I say, you never know who you can impact. So share this information. Whether they're buried in student loan debt, they need a refi, trying to buy a home, sell a home, they're absolutely struggling with their property insurance. Don't let them go through that alone. Send them to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Jimothy's going to stick around and join Greek and Joe. They're going to come in for the locker room. Of course, we're back at it next Saturday. 2 hours of infotainment every single Saturday. Whether it's a rerun or we're live, it's still going to be infotainment loaded for you. But we are live next Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for being with us. Mike Rauch, have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks, everybody.
Ross Komarinetz, do the same.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good weekend.
And Jimmy D, Jim DePola, I hope you have a great weekend, my friend.
Thanks for everybody coming in. Great show. Thank you.
Locker room is next. Stick around. See you next Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate right here on Real Radio.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app.